welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I wanted to do a review of this, which is a Garmin Dash Cam 56. I managed to luck out. I got this as a gift through work, and I thought, hey, a dash cam, that's a really good idea, because they're actually kind of important things in this modern time where people are a little bit dicey on the roads. I thought, yeah, let's get a dash cam. So I'm going to show you the unboxing, and then we'll do a little check it out, show off some of the features, and do a review. Alright, well, first of all, let's unbox it. The box was one of those cases of my address was with the same piece of tape, so when I ripped off the tape, it sort of basically opened up the whole thing. Anyway, what we got in here? There we go. The Garmin Dash Cam 56. So what comes in the box? Okay. No way, is that it? That's tiny. That is tiny. Look at that little thing. Wow. What is that? An inch or two? Obviously that's where you mount it up on your thing or whatever. Wow. Okay. That is really small. What else we got here? There's the magnet, which we will be adhering to the window, and then the magnet will hold it in place. That's good. Let's set that guy over there. Oh dear, cigarette lighter, huh? Now our car has a USB port. We'll see what that's. Maybe that's just if your car doesn't have a USB port, because we have a USB connector for it. Good. And I hope this is really long, because I'm going to need to string this all the way through the car. Got an idea for that. You're going to see me install that, but basically, and then that goes into the camera, or the dash cam itself. Can you see that? Yeah, okay, so it's that kind of connector on one end, USB-A on the other, another one, maybe a shorter one. So I guess the options are, without having looked at the instructions, really long if you want to install it the way I think I'm going to do it, or really short if you don't want all the excess cable and you just want to have it plugged and then the wire dangling. Okay. Yeah. Clean the windscreen, figure out where that's going to go, and then you'll plug it in. And I'm going to be doing this routine of running the wire all the way down around the car, so that'll be interesting. And data transfer, okay. So I'm guessing if you are unfortunate enough to be in an accident, you can hook it up to your, oh, that's what that is. That allows you to hook it up to your computer. Okay. And that's how you would transfer the video over. All right, good to know. All right, cool. And then we have some safety stuff. Don't get it wet. Don't lick it. That kind of typical stuff there. All right, so all that remains, let's see if I can get this thing out of here. It's very weirdly, oh, there we go. Okay, there it is. So that's the camera. Got a little thing. I'm not going to peel that off just yet, because basically we need to somehow glue that onto the windscreen. And then when that's done, which side is which? Is that the attracting side? Oh, whatever. And then basically with that up on the windscreen, boom, that will hold it in place. And the screen will light up, and there's the power button, a bunch of other functions which we'll mess around with later. Okay, time to install. Okay, we're in the car. That's my wife's car, and she's the one who's actually going to be benefiting from this. So I asked her, where do you want the thing sitting? You don't want it right there. Where would you like it? Maybe up here. I've read that this shading stuff, it's not necessarily good to put a little adhesive bit like that on there, because it's actually going to it's going to be very difficult to pull it off. So she had said, well, maybe behind the rearview mirror. I think I'm going to put it there. That way it's not distracting. And she herself, I've looked this up online, most people say don't put it anywhere where it's in your view, because you don't need a little TV screen thing distracting you from as you're driving. So I'm going to maybe put it under that rearview mirror holder. Got to clean it with some rubbing alcohol, and then there's that little piece already in there, plus it came with one. So I'm trying to figure out which of these am I mounting. Like that seems to be, I guess I'm putting this one up there and then that will attach that way or something. Most of them show you actually put that off. Well, we'll try some experiments here, but I wonder if I should be putting that. Is that a spare? I don't know. I do not know. Anyway, that's what we're gonna do. So I'll clean the spot first with some rubbing alcohol. So I'm hoping this makes a bit more sense. There's the rear view mirror, and there's like a little plastic enclosure. That's, I think, where we're gonna attach this. So just gonna give that a clean with the rubbing alcohol. Make sure that that's really, really clear there. You can't see it very well because it's too dark, but I can see that that is now pretty clean. Again, I don't think I want to put it on that that area there, because I've heard people say that's real nasty to try to get the focus going. Can we? Yeah, we focus. Let's focus. There we go. So yes, I don't think I'm going to put it in there. I'm going to put it under here, having cleaned the space very thoroughly. And again, I'm going under the assumption that this is the original one here, and what is in this box, I'm thinking that's a spare. I think there's one of these, there you go, one of these already installed in this thing, because most videos I've watched, the hexagonal cap is there. You can see that it's right on the surface. So let's peel this off carefully, one-handed, while I hold the camera. And place that here. So the instructions I have read basically say you want to hold this thing in place for a good 30 seconds. Then hypothetically the camera should pull off, leaving, because it's only a magnet, it should pull off, leaving that little hexagonal disc in there applied to the spot. And then what I will do is pull the camera down, leaving that hexagonal disc on there, and continue to push with my thumb for another 30 seconds. I think we're pretty close to that now, so here we go. Wish me luck. I hope when I take this off, it has left a hexagonal little disc. Yes, it has! So that was a spare. Okay, so now I want to hold that. Make sure it's, yeah, that's right. Okay, so I want to push that with my thumb. Give that a good strong push. Hold that for another 30 seconds. And that should make a good solid bond. Even when this is done, though, they do recommend give it like 24 hours before you reapply the camera, because you don't want it pulling on this thing. So we're going to just make sure this is on good and tight, not going anywhere. That's probably been about 30 seconds now, I think. And then essentially I will just let go and leave it to cure. It's some sort of 3M polymer glue that holds this thing in place. And once it's there, you want to give it 24 hours to really make sure it's not going to come off. So there we go, letting go. So that, can you make it out? Yeah, I can sort of make it out. There we go. There's where the camera will stay. So there it is there. Now the tricky bit is going to be, we have to run a wire. So we're here in the driver's seat of the Kia Soul. Luckily Kia Souls have a USB port. I don't know if you can make it out there. It's right down in there. That's where we're going to plug it in for power. But we got to run a cable from there up to the rear view mirror area. And it's basically going to be dangling down. When we have the camera sitting in there, we'll just plug it in. So the trick is going to be, we got to run power either along this side and down, or possibly along that side and down, kind of along the trim here, and sneak it along all these bits till we're at the USB port. Let me set the camera down and see what I can figure out for that. Okay, I think I got a version I like here. So there is the wire hanging down, and I'll be able to plug that into the camera when it's hanging. That's actually wrapped around the rear view mirror a couple of times. Then it goes up into the neck of the rear view mirror here. Maybe make that up? Not really. Anyway, then I got it snaking along this. And at this corner, it actually comes through the door jamb here and down along the trim. Now, I had to make a decision when I got to this area here, because it could theoretically sit in here and maybe go under the, where the steering wheel is and stuff. But I don't know if it's really all that secure there, or like with the door slamming on that, is that going to fray the wire? So instead what I did is, the Kia has these nice round speakers. It actually loops nicely around there. So just another vantage point from the point of view of the driver, spooled around turning around the speaker, down under the steering wheel, and then there is this wire just here, but I don't think, it's not going to really be in the way of legs or anything like that, and we might be able to make that tuck in, do some things. I'm not too sure, but it is plugged in. That ought to work. Okay, we've got the camera installed, and actually it went not too bad. I managed to hide the wire inside this little seam here, so it's all nicely doing the thing that I showed you earlier. The camera itself is over here, and it actually is nicely tucked out of the way. It doesn't take up too much room. I'm going to turn it on, but when I do that, just so you can see it's running, it does save a photograph. Now, the normal operation of this thing is, you can see, okay, there's the camera running now, doing well. If I wanted to, for whatever reason, take a photograph, I would just press this bottom button once quickly, and there you go, I've taken a snapshot. Perfect, like a normal photograph. If something was to happen, say I was in a close hit or miss or whatever, something where it made me think, oh, you better save that footage, you can actually press and hold this for a second, and it saves the video. Now, it is actually saving video all the time. What that means is that, and it's sort of hard to describe, it's always filming all the time in about 2-minute bursts or something. And what that does is, that means that on the hard drive, there's a little 64 gigabyte memory stick that I bought for that. A special brand that's very good for dash cams. I'll put the name of it down here, but basically it's a kind of a memory stick that is used to being written and overwritten constantly. Because what's going on inside the camera is these 2-minute long videos, I think it's 2 minutes, I'll correct myself when I edit. These 2-minute long videos are being filmed in spurts, and we actually we went to a bank machine once and had it just sitting there. Car was off. I thought, oh yeah, let's see what ends up on the memory stick. It had been filming sitting parked all the time we were in the bank. So I was like, oh, okay. So it's always filming constantly. It's just that it doesn't know to save all of that. And I'm going to show you the file structure later on. But basically, all of the video gets saved in one default folder. If you wanted it to save something important that just happened, like an accident or a near miss or whatever, when you press that button I showed you, what it does is it saves that in another folder, which is a basically saved items folder. I'll show you that later too. So here we have the ability to take photographs or video, or I want to save that, etc. That's great. What if you weren't thinking at the time? Let's say you actually have an accident and it didn't occur to you at the moment, oh, I should have actually held on to that. There's another thing that's kind of cool. It's called, I think it's called an event recording. What that is if there's a sudden jostle, if the camera gets a shake, it will say that was an event, and I'm putting that into an event folder. So that's another cool thing. And actually, the first night I tried to charge up the camera, it fell down into this little holder that we had nearby, and the camera actually said, oh, I've fallen, that's an event, and it actually saved the video of the camera falling into this little holder. So I thought, oh, okay, so you don't even have to be that smart about it. It will remember to actually record anything where the camera gets a sudden shake. That's pretty good. So you can remember to take it yourself with the button, It's always filming all the time. Let's say, for example, okay, there wasn't really an accident, but somebody mentioned, the Pomeranian of the neighborhood has gone missing. Anybody seen it? And you're like, hey, I think I passed a Pomeranian 2 hours ago. You could actually dig through the old footage and actually find that 2-minute clip if you so needed. So that's pretty cool too. I will point out though, the charging, that was a mistake. I was assuming like when you get a new phone, when you get the new gaming device, any kind of little gadget that you have, I thought, it needs to be charged up. So I left it charging in the wall outlet the whole night. That was silly. You don't need to do that. It needs maybe a little initial burst charge to kind of get the camera functional and ready to go. But honestly, it doesn't need to be, it doesn't need to be charged up. I actually ended up with 8 hours of the living room having been filmed, and there was no need to do that because the camera was actually kind of warm the next morning. So plug it in, it'll probably gather enough of a charge that it needs, and then you don't have to worry about it again. So, just a quick video here of what happens when you pop your SD card into your computer. You basically have 3 folders: System, which is empty, I'm not sure what goes in there, and Garmin, which I believe this is where the hot updates or hot fixes and patches will come in. New updated versions will probably save in here and then probably go to the System folder. This JSON folder, that's some kind of JavaScript thing, but the main one is DCIM. This is where all your videos are. So we've got, at the beginning, the event viewer. In here is where if you hit the brakes or if something happens to shake the camera, the footage will end up in here. Like, for example, if I run one of these guys, that must have been one time we probably hit the brakes or something. There's also the one where the camera, wait a minute, let's see if I can find it. The camera fell into the bin. Yeah, here it is. So this was actually recorded as an event. There you go. It just fell and it said, oh no, that's an event. So anything that shakes the camera is going to end up in here in event. Photos are, as per before, when I actually hit the button very briefly, it'll take a photograph. All JPEGs. So, here's an example. That's probably the one that I took when I was talking. All photographs will just end up in here, straightforward, just like taking a picture with a camera. Saved folders, or the save folder. Now this is the one whenever you press and hold that same button and it makes the other little chirping noise, that's where the saved items go. So as I press and hold, these are where the videos will end up, like the one that I was talking about before. Here you go. It's something that I had saved by holding that button. A minute length, each of them, a minute and a half actually. Very handy, very good. And then finally, now there's 2 more. There's Park Meter, I guess. There's nothing in here. I'm thinking these are probably other modes because there's also time lapse or TLPSE. I think that's time lapse. Those are empty. My guess is you can probably tell the machine to save instead of 1 or 2 minute chunks to make it like a full 8-hour video, and it would end up in here. That's my guess. I haven't messed with that yet. But unsaved, this is where everything is. And you can see there are tons and tons and tons of videos here. And they all date like on the August the 4th at 6:57, then 6:58, then 6:59, then 7 o'clock. It's 1 minute chunks. This is all video, which you could string together into one big long video if you wanted to. When the when the card gets full, and this is a 64 gig, which I believe is close. Yeah, it's only got about half a gig left in space. When it gets full, it's actually going to loop all the way down and actually start recording again at the top. This is handy for those situations where you found out later, oh, somebody's Pomeranian was running around the neighborhood, and you could sort of go, okay, what date was that on? Maybe that was on August the, let's choose the 7th. What was I doing on August the 7th around 3:45 in the afternoon, roughly when I think I saw that dog? Well, what do you know? There's the footage and there's the dog. I mean, it's not in this case, but you know what I mean? Like, you can actually find the video that you're actually thinking of because it's all kept in the unsaved folder. That's where everything is. That's pretty useful. That's what I like about this camera. So it is always recording, and then once you can decide whether or not you wanted to root through this and find it yourself, or if you were clever enough at the time to press and hold a little video clip, it'll go into saved. And if you just wanted to take a picture of something, you can take it and it'll end up in here. Does that make sense? I hope so. That is what's on the memory card whenever you take it out of your computer. Put it into your computer, I should say. So I'll tell you what, the picture quality is pretty good. I'm going to put in some clips here just to show you things that we encountered just in our first couple of days of having this camera. And I was already pretty surprised, like, oh, it's a good thing we've got a dash cam. Look at the near situations that go on, and that's not even, I wasn't quite expecting that. So I'm feeling better about the fact that we now have the ability to be ready should we need to for any, I don't know, insurance claims, something like that. The quality is pretty good. It does record. I'll show here some of the stuff in full screen. It's not, if you've got a car more than about 20 feet away, I don't think you can see the license plates. So that's something to think about. It's not like recording in 4K or anything like that, but it's pretty good. I think it would be handy should you need to bring it to some insurance claim. It'd be useful enough. And certainly cars in front of you, you can see their license plates. Also wanted to just inject in here a couple of shots that I did at nighttime to show the camera can really pick up night vision pretty well, like the street lights and also the lights from the front of the car are pretty sufficient to make out details. The headlights don't leave any kind of streaks on the dash cam at all. It's actually very, very good for nighttime shots. Now, what is sometimes occurs with this thing, and I don't understand it, I have yet to figure out what the pattern is. There's these alerts that occasionally occur, and I think they're weird. Like, we were driving along, and it would suddenly advise us, oh, hey, there's a traffic light. And we're like, yeah, we know. Why are you telling me there's a traffic light? Or, hey, traffic is moving now. And we're like, okay, I didn't really ask you to tell me that. But it wouldn't always do it. It's kind of randomly just advising us, hey, traffic's moving now. Hey, there's a traffic light. But not always. So I don't know why that happens. It's a bit strange. A negative. There may be an option within the settings to actually, watch out for the bump. There might be an option in the settings to change that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it'll be something you might want to think about. If you're thinking of getting one of these Garmin Dash Cams, this alert system, I guess it's making us safer drivers, but it will be surprising to you that this thing occurs. So heads up on that. One of the final things though, when I first got it, I noticed every time we started driving, the startup would say, here are the terms and conditions and also what language do you want to select, and it would do it every single time. Like, there were multiple things to have to go through when initially turning on the camera, and I was like, is there no way to stop that? I googled it, and apparently if you update the firmware, which I have done twice, it does actually go away. Now, at least whenever we turn it on, it does initially say something to the effect of, you must agree to these terms, or it's the usual sort of safety warning. You have to give it a little okay with a press of the button, then it doesn't happen again. But it is on every initial firing up of the camera. So if you're finding whenever you put in yours that it's always asking you what language do you speak and all these other prompts, do the update the firmware. You should be okay after that. Finally, I'm going to show you some of the cool things that the app can do. Now I'm going to show you the app. I've got it on my phone, and it is the Star Trek communicator, obviously. Garmin Drive is the app. What it'll do is it'll actually connect through Bluetooth in a second to the DC56. I believe that's it now connected. So if we go to video, photos and videos. Yeah, there's a logo on the dash cam itself, but now on the phone, it's going to connect through the local Wi-Fi. Okay, so here are a bunch of videos that we took. Now let's just grab one of these at random. Now let's say you're in a situation where, I don't know, a cop wants to see some footage that you've just taken. I don't know if that's coming through on the camera. Oh yeah, you can sort of see. There we are, the trees are moving. Like, this is a rough low frame version. It's actually streaming off the dash cam right now. And let's say I wanted to cut a particular little section out of that. What I could do is I can just pause this video and I can move these little sliders here so that we've got kind of, where do you want the video to start? Because you're going to trim it down. I don't know if this is coming through or not, but basically I can actually make the little clip itself shorter. In fact, those videos that I showed you just before, those were actually reduced down videos like this. Now if I want to play, I can just find the little section that I'm interested in. So this is an edited version. You notice the trees are in a different position now. Okay, so let's say, yeah, that works. I want to show this, I don't know, to the cop who's on the scene or whatever. All right, let's pause. Then I go next. And it's actually exporting from the camera onto my phone. And I can take that with me, I don't know, outside the car and just show, here's what I just gathered off my camera. I don't really know when this would be useful, but let's say, as I say, you're in a crash scene or something like that, or something has happened where somebody needs the dash cam footage, you can pull it. Now, it's not like you can just then email this over to the next person, because even a short clip, I tried this myself, they're about 50 megabytes, so unless you're a really good internet connection and you've got lots of data and your email server doesn't mind doing a 50 gigabyte file, let's open up what I just saved in Photos. And there it is, and this is the full version with the full frame rate, 1080p. It's got the dates at the bottom and everything else. And that's really handy. I mean, that's good for, oh, something interesting. The Pomeranian of the neighborhood just showed up in the side here. I need to save that clip, and then I can post it somewhere and say, hey, anybody who's looking for that dog, I saw him in this neighborhood. That type of thing. Or let's say something worse happened. I don't know. That's pretty neat. I do like that this is actually a feature of the app. There we go. And yeah, you can do the same with photos that you've taken, all that kind of stuff. You can quickly grab things and put them onto your phone, and then from there, you can do whatever you need to do. You've got all the stuff that you've saved. You've got other options here. I think like you can go to, oh, you can even put it in a date range. That's pretty cool too. Anyway, that's the app. Really handy. Highly recommend you do it. In fact, you can even do a live view. If you're in a coffee shop and you want to be able to see out of the camera, you could actually, let's just try that right here. You can actually, from the app, see what your camera is showing right now. Let's see if this will work. And you can obviously rotate it to fill the full screen, but just for the sake, yeah, there we go. That's what's happening right outside my dash cam right now. So there we go. There is the Garmin 56 dash cam. I'm actually very impressed. I mean, it's not perfect. It's got weird quirks to it, but for something that I had kind of shrugged off thinking, well, not everybody needs a dash cam, I think that's not necessarily true. As the years are going by, I have seen enough horrors online in the news and stuff of like bad accidents. It's good to have it for insurance purposes and that kind of stuff. So I'm very pleased with this one. Got a few quirks. Not too sure about that alert that goes off at random. Again, maybe you can turn it off. The app's really cool. The fact that it's got that special 64 gig card inside there to record for hours and hours. I think I could probably go on an 8-hour trip before I would ever need to worry about the camera or the memory writing over what was at the beginning of the thing. Sorry for the bump. But I'm very pleased. I like it. I'm liking what we've got here. This is going to be very handy. So if you're thinking of getting a dash cam, I know Garmin's got lots of different models. This one's from a couple of years ago. That's probably why they gave it to me for a prize. I'll take it though. It didn't cost me a penny. I recommend them. There are many different varieties, but they're all a pretty good brand that I think I would definitely say is worth getting into. Okay, well, until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.